Well, safe to say this was one of the most darkest days in the history of English cricket. This has to be the worst performance I've ever seen from any England white ball team. But the most frustrating thing is that this is our best team, our greatest white ball team that is more than capable of defending our 2019 World Cup triumph. This team should be going the whole way. We should have at least 3 out of 4 right now. But instead we're at the bottom of the pile with 1 win and 3 losses. Now, I understand South Africa have levelled up over the last year or so. You know, you see the way they've been batting. You know, Heinrich Klaassen is one of those who's led the way for sure. And especially on Saturday with an amazing 100. You know, you expected something like this from South Africa. But this team, our white ball team, you know, with Joss Buttler, Liam Livingstone, Ben Stokes, Harry Brook, you know, all this talent, and yet we're getting turned over by 229 runs. That is a disgrace. So let's go through the selection. Malan, Bairstow, Root, Brook, Stokes and Joss Buttler. 6 batsmen. That is not enough. It doesn't matter what wicket that the game is played on, no matter what format it is. Whenever I see a team with 6 batsmen, I roll my eyes in extreme disappointment because that is just not enough. Yes, okay, you can have a couple of bowlers who can bat a bit. We had David Willey, Al Rashid, sometimes every now and then bats well, hits a few sixes, but it's very rare. You see that from him. Mark Wood did perform well with the bat on Saturday. And then obviously Reece Topley, Gus Atkinson. But the problem here is that we've overloaded our team with too many bowlers. 5 bowlers, right? Now, I understand the reasoning behind that. You know, I get the Wankhede Stadium is the most difficult stadium to bowl into. Probably in the world. Definitely in India. You know, you see it in the IPL. Every game at the Wankhede Stadium that the Mumbai Indians play is extremely high scoring, no matter what. But whenever I see a team do this, because the Mumbai Indians do this all the time, overload the team with too many bowlers, you know, when they should really be investing more in the batting, because it's basically just a run fest. It's whichever team bats and scores the most runs, regardless of how good the bowling is, whatever. The bowling, in my opinion, really does not matter. We had 5 bowlers on Saturday. David Willey, Reece Topley, Mark Wood, Gus Atkinson and Adil Rashid. Now, for me, I just don't agree with it at all. You know, we need at least 7 batsmen in any team, no matter the format, no matter the state of the wicket. Every single cricket team needs to have 7 batsmen, in my opinion, because 6 is just not enough. And so it proved on Saturday. But then again, the way we batted was absolutely pathetic, wasn't it? I mean, South Africa, with Heinrich Klaassen getting that 100, the middle order contributing really well. Obviously, there was a last wicket partnership as well with some of the bowlers. Marco Jansen getting a good 70 or 80. But at the end of the day, no matter what we did, no matter what we bowled, you know, no matter how good our bowling was, and our bowling is fantastic. You know, Mark Wood, Adil Rashid, Reece Topley, Atkinson. You know, there's so much pace there, so much pace. And Adil Rashid, you know, and think about it, we've got Joe Root as well as a part-time spinner. So effectively we have 2 spinners, right? Obviously we didn't include Liam Livingstone, which I cannot understand either. But our bowling lineup was more than good enough. But to be honest with you, we really didn't need the extra bowler. It was all about the extra batter, in my opinion, because no matter what bowlers we have, you're always going to get carried around at the Wankhede Stadium, especially with the lineup South Africa have and the way they've been batting over the last year. But anyway, to lose by that margin, 229 runs with our greatest ever white ball team in a World Cup where you'd really expect us to defend our title or at least make the semi-finals, to lose by that margin has to be one of the worst days in English cricket history in World Cups. Worse than the 2015 knockout against Bangladesh, which we all remember. And Obviously, that was the start of a new era for England afterwards. But this effectively has knocked us out of the tournament. Now, we have 5 games left. We can still get 12 points, which, if we are going to qualify, will be in 4th. Top 3 is out of the question now, unless somehow India, New Zealand, South Africa have a disastrous end to the tournament, which I highly doubt. But if we are going to qualify, it's going to be 4th. The problem is, obviously, they're going to have to win very convincingly to boost that net run rate and get it anywhere near on par with the top 4. And unfortunately, in my opinion, it's done. It's over. It's not going to happen. There's no way. The games we have left: India, Australia, Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka will be very tough in subcontinent conditions. Far tougher than we had it in 2019 when they beat us. And then obviously Netherlands. Well, South Africa slips up against Netherlands. You wouldn't put it past us to do the same. India. They're going to need a miracle for that one. They're not going to boost the net run rate on that one. If we're going to win, it's going to be a very, very close game. No question. As for the others, Pakistan, Australia, it doesn't get any easier. It really doesn't get any easier. And this is most likely the reason why we are not going to qualify. No chance. But obviously, we can't look at it like that. Obviously, we can't be pessimistic. We have to try and come up with a scenario as to how England can get back into this World Cup. Well, for a start, I believe we need at least 7 batsmen. Liam Livingstone has to come back in. Or if you're not going to include Liam Livingstone for whatever reason, Moeen Ali has to come back in. Obviously, Moeen Ali offers that far greater spin threat. England will effectively have 2 spinners, which I really think would be a definite advantage, especially in Indian conditions. But Liam Livingstone obviously is a better batsman at this moment in time than Moeen Ali, who was obviously in the twilight of his career. Liam Livingstone is in his prime, and I honestly was baffled to see that he wasn't selected, and David Willey was selected ahead of him. Now, David Willey's done nothing wrong. David Willey was very tough to miss out on selection in the last World Cup. Thankfully, he's been given another go, which I'm very pleased to see. But unfortunately, I think it's just a bit too late. His presence isn't really required, to be honest with you. He's just not quick enough, and he just lacks penetration up front. So, in that case, I would replace David Willey with Liam Livingstone. Now, I understand why they've gone for Gus Atkinson. So much pace. Where is Sam Curran? Has he been injured? I haven't really seen. But Sam Curran needs to be back in that team as well. And obviously Reece Topley has had a major injury, so I don't know what it is with Reece Topley in World Cups, but that is it for Reece Topley. We won't be seeing him again. So obviously they're going to have to bring back Sam Curran in place of Topley, and Liam Livingstone instead of David Willey. That, I think, are at least the most important selection choices that need to be made. So you'd have 7 batsmen. You have Malan, Bairstow, who will hopefully come good at some point in this tournament. Malan, Bairstow, Root, who has finally found form. It was looking a bit ominous in the warm-up games. It really didn't look very good for him at all. But he's come good, so that's a positive. Obviously didn't come good in this game, which was probably England's most important game of the tournament. So you got Malan, Bairstow, Root, Harry Brook, Ben Stokes, Jos Buttler and Liam Livingstone. Those, I believe, are England's best top 7 batsmen of all time, to be honest. If you look at that lineup, that top 7, compare it to the last World Cup, obviously not a hell of a lot has changed. We had Jason Roy opening the batting, but the form Dawid Malan is in coming into this tournament, and obviously with 100 against Bangladesh, his numbers in ODI cricket are just remarkable. So, you have to say it's a better opening partnership to 2019, the way Dawid Malan has been batting, and of course Johnny Bairstow is Johnny Bairstow. But 7 batsmen, I believe, is the way forward. It has to be. They cannot be going around playing 5 bowlers again. They probably will the next game, but this is just my take on it. And then obviously you'd have Mark Wood, Adil Rashid, Sam Curran. Sam Curran obviously bats, so it's effectively 8 batsmen, and it's extremely important. Batting depth is extremely important in a 50-over game. It's massive. We got bowled out in 22 overs, 170 in 22 overs. That's tragic. That's 28 overs we haven't batted for. That's appalling. In a 50-over game. But again, obviously it all comes down to the shot selection. Now, thankfully I haven't actually watched the game, and I don't intend on watching the highlights at all. But from what I've heard, England were hitting the fielders every time they tried to play an aggressive shot. Which, okay, obviously this team, it never backs down. It's always about aggression, taking on the opposition, which is the reason why we've been so successful over this last 8-year period. And long may it continue, but today was a prime example of when it goes wrong, it really goes wrong. South Africa have definitely improved over the last few years for sure, but we should have been more than a match for them, no matter what state we're in. We've got Ben Stokes, who's come out of ODI retirement to play in the World Cup. But none of all this hype has been enough, unfortunately, for this England team so far. And it's very difficult to see us finding a way out of this hole. We're at the bottom of the table. Afghanistan are having a wonderful tournament. 2 wins, Pakistan and us. That's 2 massive scalps. Think of what that'll do to Afghanistani cricket. India look unbeatable. Surely it's going to be India's title. It makes a lot of sense. Beat New Zealand, beat Australia, and obviously beat Pakistan. Obviously, we're still yet to play India. I do believe we can get one up on them. But obviously, the way we've been playing, it doesn't look like it. But I still have a lot of faith in this team. I believe this has to be the squad for the next 5 games. So I'm going to go through it one more time. Dawid Malan, Johnny Bairstow, Joe Root, Harry Brook, Ben Stokes, Joss Buttler, Liam Livingstone, top 7 batsmen, 7 premier batsmen, specialist batsmen. All right, 7 specialist batsmen has to be the way to go in any team, no matter what the format, 10 overs, 20 overs, whatever, right? Then you have your 4 bowlers, right? Now we have Mark Wood, Adil Rashid, Sam Curran, and then probably Gus Atkinson. Or you can include Moeen Ali if it's a spin-friendly surface in place of Gus Atkinson. But Gus Atkinson has some amazing pace and is an amazing talent. So you would really be a fool not to pick someone with that kind of pace. But also, 4 bowlers plus our 2 part-timers. We've got Liam Livingstone and of course Joe Root. So then we have 6 bowlers. So, our bowling is good enough, I believe, with just 4 specialist bowlers. I do not understand the reason playing 5 bowlers. It's just ridiculous. Sri Lanka the next game, I think. Is it Sri Lanka? Yeah, it is. Thursday. Sri Lanka will be gunning to get one up on us. Sri Lanka have not beaten us for a very long time. And England have to step up or it's over, it's done. Lose this, they're out. No question about it. It is done. If you'd have said England will be bottom of the pile and will be facing elimination almost halfway into this tournament, in the preparation leading up to this tournament, the world would have laughed at you. Sadly, this is just how cricket works sometimes. Even the best teams, no matter what the form, can falter on the biggest stage. And we see that so many times. Can we beat Sri Lanka? Absolutely. Can we beat India? Absolutely. We can beat anyone. Anyone can beat anyone in a game of cricket, I believe. The game is far more open than compared to rugby or any other sport, because cricket is so heavily reliant on individuals. One individual can win the game, no question. 1 or 2 or 3 individuals can win the game. Obviously, team sports, football, rugby, it is definitely 100% the whole team. But cricket is just one of those sports that's different in that aspect. And that's why you're seeing what you're seeing with England. No matter how well we've played over the last year, which, to be honest, actually, we really haven't played that well in white ball cricket. And to be fair, you could say that you saw this coming when we lost 3-0 in that white ball series after the T20 World Cup. You could say you saw this coming when we lost the home series against South Africa in white ball cricket last year. So the signs have been there that this team has sort of been caught by everybody else. And definitely South Africa had a great chance. Even though they did slip up against the Netherlands, South Africa could well go on to win the World Cup this year. I predict a South Africa-India final, but never rule out Australia. You can't do that. Who knows, even Afghanistan might spring a few surprises late on into the tournament. But for us, I do probably think the journey is over. This is without a doubt our greatest white ball team we have ever had, no question about it. And we have to believe that the talent in this squad can turn it all around. Remember, we were in a terrible position, or a very precarious situation, just before we qualified for the semis of the 2019 World Cup. We'd lost 3 games. We had India and New Zealand coming up. We had to win those last 2 games, and we won them both, and we qualified for the semi-final. And then, of course, that amazing final at Lord's. But if any team can dig themselves out of this hole, it's us. It's our team. Even though this tournament really has not been worth watching at all, I will still try to tune in some capacity on Thursday. But yeah, it's going to be a very tough game. But anyways, that's just my take on England at the moment. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.